Hi viewers, welcome to Fund Review. This video is going to be on performance analysis of mutual fund. So in this video we will be seeing the various metrics which are used to measure the performance of mutual fund. During the course of our video we will be seeing various ratios which act as indicators to analyze the performance of any particular mutual fund. Let's proceed into the video. So viewers, this is going to be the agenda for our discussion today. We'll be starting the video by discussing what's the need for analysis, means why should you analyze the performance of any mutual fund in first place, and then we'll be proceeding forward the types of analysis. These are the various types of analysis that we are going to discuss in detail in this video. So we'll be starting with the historical returns, benchmark analysis, expense ratio, portfolio turnover ratio, standard deviation, and Sharpe ratio. Viewers, investing in mutual fund has now become a very easy process thanks to the various avenues that have been opened up in recent times. Although investing in mutual funds is an easy process, generating your desired returns requires you to do some homework. And analyzing the mutual fund is not a tedious process, although the mutual funds involve some industry specific jargons which may look complex, but actually they are not complicated. So analyzing a mutual fund requires you to have an idea about the various metrics which measure the performance of a mutual fund. Hence, buying a mutual fund based on its face value information might be detrimental for you to achieve your investment objective. Viewers, in this part of the video, we are going to discuss about historical return analysis. So in this kind of analysis, you will be analyzing the historical returns generated by the fund over a period of any time, say 6 months, 1 year, 3 year, 10 year, or even from the inception of this fund. So this analysis gives you an idea about the short term as well as the long term returns generated by the fund over a period of time. The important thing to note here in this type of analysis is that viewers, you have to consider the returns generated by the fund in all kinds of business cycles like rally or recession or whatever, so that you get a lucid idea about the returns generated by the fund both in favorable as well as adverse circumstances of business. So this is all about historical return analysis, which is a very simple and straightforward analysis using which where you are doing the analysis using the historical data. Viewers, then there is this another type of analysis called benchmark analysis. Here what you will be essentially doing is that you will be referring the historical returns generated by the fund as you did in your historical return analysis, but in addition to that you will also be comparing those returns with that of a benchmark fund like Nifty 50 or Bank Nifty. So here an important thing to note is that the comparison that you are doing should be an apple to apple comparison. Now, let's say you have invested in a small cap equity fund and you are comparing the returns generated by your small cap equity fund with the returns generated by Nifty 50 index, then that's not a fair comparison because Nifty 50 index majorly contains the stocks which are like large cap stocks. So the comparison that you're doing should be like a fair comparison. So that's one thing to keep in mind while you're doing this benchmark analysis. Viewers, there is this expense ratio analysis, which is very important analysis that every investor must do before investing in any mutual funds. Viewers, if you remember in our very first video on the mutual fund for beginners or introduction to mutual funds, we would have discussed about this AMC house managing the pooled investment through a team of fund managers, analysts, and other experts. So these fund managers and analysts, they do this job of maximizing our returns and managing the risk of loss. And for this, they deploy various strategies and use various management techniques. So essentially, they are doing a job, they are doing a service for us for which we have to pay them. So the cost incurred by the fund managers in such activities of strategical management of a fund is recorded from the AUM. AUM here stands for asset under management. So this asset under management is basically the investors' money, that money which are getting pulled from the investors. So the charge paid by the investor to the AMC for management of his or her investment is based on this expense ratio. So this is a basic idea about expense ratio. Viewers, the very basic definition for expense ratio is that it is the ratio of the total expense incurred to the total assets under management. So I have not written any mathematical formula expression here because we are not preparing for any exams. Viewers, whenever an investor is booking profits and trying to exit from the fund, the mutual fund house, they deduct the expense ratio amount from the returns that have been generated to the investor and credits the balance amount to the investor's account, which means that the expense ratios are usually deducted from the returns generated by the fund before the returns are disbursed to the corresponding investors. So if your fund has generated decent returns in comparison with the contemporary funds of the same category, but if your fund is having a higher expense ratio than those other funds, then the effective returns that you will be taking home will be obviously less. Let's try to understand this concept with an example. So viewers, here as you can see, there are two funds, Fund A and Fund B. Both these funds are large cap equity funds, and I am going to invest an amount of rupees 1 lakh each in Fund A and Fund B, and I am going to keep myself invested for 1 year. So after 1 year, the NAV of Fund A is rupees 1 lakh 30,000 and the NAV of Fund B is 1 lakh 29,000. So the returns generated by Fund A is rupees 30,000 and Fund B is 1,000 rupees less than the returns generated by Fund A, which is 29,000. So if you see the expense ratio incurred by the Fund A is 7%, because the fund manager of Fund A, he actively manages the funds. He deploys a lot of investment strategies and management techniques to generate this 30,000 rupees return. On the other hand, the expense ratio of Fund B is just 1%. Here the fund manager obviously didn't actively manage this fund, and as a result of that, the expense ratio is just 1%. So deducting this expense ratio amount from the returns generated, the take home returns for us will be like the take home value of this fund that will be credited to your account is rupees 1,27,900 for Fund A and rupees 1,28,710 for Fund B. Superficially seeing, you will be of a notion that Fund A has generated more returns than Fund B, but expense ratio here plays a major role in determining your effective take home returns. So this is one of those examples where I have told if both the funds have generated decent returns, but if the expense ratio of one fund is considerably, if it is higher than the expense ratio of the other fund, then that is definitely a difference maker. So this is one point to keep in mind when using this expense ratio analysis. Viewers, now we are going to discuss about this technique called portfolio ratio analysis. So portfolio turnover ratio is basically the turnover of the assets under management of a fund. What does that mean? Viewers, fund managers, they buy and sell securities to achieve the investment objectives of that particular fund. So portfolio turnover ratio implies how often a fund manager has bought or sold assets to meet those investment objectives. So this is a basic definition of portfolio turnover ratio. But let's now try to understand how this affects your profit or returns that are generated by the fund. So viewers, as we had discussed in our earlier example, if a fund has been actively managed by the fund managers, which means that he is actively buying and selling securities in the market, the inference is that the expense ratio is going to be on the higher side. And if the expense ratio is going to be on the higher side, what does that imply to your returns? It means that your returns are going to be eroded. So higher portfolio turnover ratio means your expense ratio is on the higher side, and as a result of this, you are going to have lesser returns. So this portfolio turnover ratio, apart from giving us an idea about the expense ratio, it also gives us an idea whether the fund where we had invested is an actively managed fund or passively managed fund. So the inference here is higher the portfolio turnover ratio, higher the expenses incurred, and lower the returns. Friends, then there is the standard deviation. So standard deviation is a metric to measure the volatility involved in the returns generated by the particular fund. So every fund has got an average returns. Like we calculate this average returns based on the historical returns generated by the fund. So we gather the historical data and based on which we calculate the average returns the fund has been generating. So standard deviation shows the extent to which the fund's actual returns deviated from this anticipated or average returns. So standard deviation is basically the extent to which the fund's actual returns have been varying from its average returns. So the inference here is, my friends, so higher the standard deviation means higher the volatility involved in the returns generated by the funds. Viewers, now let's discuss about the Sharpe ratio. As we had discussed earlier, The risk involved in any kind of investment is directly proportional to the returns that an investor can anticipate from that kind of investment. So Sharpe ratio essentially gives us an idea about the returns that the fund has generated for every additional unit of risk that has been associated with it. So viewers, mathematically the definition for Sharpe ratio is that it is the ratio to the excess returns to the standard deviation of the fund. Again, I am not going deep into the mathematical expression because again we are not preparing for any kind of exams. So the inference here is that higher the Sharpe ratio, higher will be the risk adjusted returns. It may sound a bit complicated, but let's further try to decompose it. Let us say I have a surplus sum of money, say rupees 5 lakhs with me, and I want to invest this. There are two options in front of me. Either I can invest this money in a fixed deposit with the bank, which offers me 5% rate of interest per annum. And this is a risk-free investment for me, where I will be getting this assured 5% per annum return of investment unless and until the bank goes bankrupt. But I'm not satisfied with this returns. I want more returns. So I'm trying to invest this amount in a fund. Let's say it's a large cap equity fund. So I'm going to invest this 5 lakhs into this large cap equity fund. Why? Because I'm anticipating higher returns. So for essentially by investing this 5 lakh amount into this large cap equity fund, I'm taking an additional risk. So obviously I will be anticipating more returns than the 5% which was promised by the fixed deposit in a bank. So I had invested this 5 lakh sum in this large cap equity fund, and after 1 year I'm seeing that I got 10% returns. So the difference is 5%. So that's the reward I got for taking a higher risk. So this is a very basic level example that I tried to give you for explaining the Sharpe ratio. So this a Sharpe ratio of 2% per annum implies an extra return of 2% per annum for 1% of risk that you have taken. So if it sounds very complicated, just try to understand the inference, or the point that I would like to drive home is that if your Sharpe ratio is high for a mutual fund, higher will be the risk adjusted returns. And where you can find the Sharpe ratio for a particular fund, you will find that in the fact sheet of that particular mutual fund. So this is a basic idea about the Sharpe ratio, which is a very important parameter to analyze the performance of any mutual fund.